come across so many of these platforms that are like, they'll replace recruiters. I don't want recruitment to be replaced, because now tech is so easy to make, especially like, you can vibe code things in Lovable and Bolt now, like AI builders. I reckon in 6 to 12 months, it's going to be even easier to make products. You still need to understand the customer. And at the end of the day, that's recruiters. So you need to be making their lives easier, because their clients are going to start using all the exact same tools.
Welcome back to another episode of RecTalk. I'm your host, Nitin Sharma, founder and CEO of RecTools.io. For those of you who don't know, you should do by now. RecTools is the only whole of market directory of all the recruitment supply chain. So whether you're looking for a new CRM, a new payroll supplier for your business, maybe you're looking to revamp your website, maybe you want to have a look at some automation tools that are out there, or maybe you want to find what tools are out there to kind of amplify your business development using things like video or note-taking, head to rectools.io. It's free to use. We don't ask you to sign in or register. We don't want your details. We don't keep track of what you do. You browse at your own leisure, pick the businesses you want to find out more about, and then continue your journey. And if you choose to buy, great, good for you. We also offer Rec Perks. So we have a range of suppliers who have given us exclusive discounts if you are looking to buy. And again, that is exclusively through rectools.io. That's enough of me plugging my shit today. I want to welcome my guest. He is from Australia, currently sat in the lovely Athens. He's the founder and CEO of RecView, which is a RecTools recommended product, which I will have the details of which in the description. It's John. John, I'm not going to try and say your surname, because every time I say it, somebody corrects me. I always say Bourke, and they're like, who?
I had I would have been in year 3, so you're about 10, and we had an English substitute teacher, and she'd always say Bourke, and it was, every time I hear an English person saying it now, it just brings me back to the schoolyard. But it's we probably say it wrong, right? It's your language, but it's pronounced Bourke.
Bourke, right, there you go. John Bourke.
Yeah,
it's really funny. Anytime I talk to anyone about it, I'm like, yeah, you need to reach out to John Bourke. And they're like, John who? John Bourke, RecView? And they go, oh, John Bourke. And I'm like,
yeah.
How do I get this wrong?
Mate, I don't know, but like, to be fair, like when I used to live in London and everyone said Bourke, and it was always, so I don't know if it's a different pronunciation there or not.
I would imagine so. Yeah, I think well, there we go. But first of all, mate, thank you for joining me on the podcast. Really appreciate you giving your time. I know how incredibly busy you are. For those who are listening and watching that don't know anything about you and your background, give us the snapshot. What brings you to where you are now?
Yeah, mate, super quick snapshot. Did sales, finished uni, moved to London. Thought I was going to get a killer marketing job. The one job I got was knocking on doors, selling charity subscriptions like every other Aussie over there. Then fell into recruitment for S3, which obviously most people listening in the UK would know that organisation. Did that for 2 years, and then visa regulations in Australia changed. So I set up a rec direct that focused on transitioning salespeople into recruitment, which. Recruitment's not that by English people in Australia. It's a very big industry, but it's nothing that Australians are told too much about at uni or even high school, right? And it's such a good industry for anyone who likes sales, but more likes the relationship building nature of it. Like when I found it, I'm like, oh, this is nuts. I get paid to just go and have beers with people and talk rubbish, right? It's the perfect job for me. Then I had to professionalize a little bit, but. So we set that up, and that's still going. We've got a team back in Australia, and that's grown more into a full service rec to rec, as obviously the market dictates. And one of the big markets for that as well, which we've signed up for your rec circled, but is moving UK recruiters over.
Yeah.
So part of that has always been, we've always had video in our offering, right? In our service, it's how we presented the sales candidates to recruitment roles, and then how we moved international recruiters to Australia as well. We used a few different products, liked some, didn't like some, and then we built our own. Mainly, I was a bit tight. We scaled the agency. Being a rec to rec, I had a few good little discounts, and then as we scaled, I think some of the providers or vendors thought were taking the piss a little bit. So not everyone in the business got the same discount. We built our own with a few tweaks that we wanted, and then I'd say it was a well thought out plan. But it wasn't. All our clients just happened to be recruiters who
Yeah.
like tech, right? And I'm a bit of a tech recruitment dork. Like we've discussed this before. You, I both love the tech side of recruitment. So then we went back, properly built it. It's completely white labeled version initially, and then we've introduced a light version essentially, which is uh, mainly just your sales and transcription tools, right? So if I were to give a super brief overview of what RecView does, essentially takes a lot of the SaaS tools that are available to SaaS salespeople,
Yeah.
and has tweaked them to be recruitment specific and integrate with recruitment specific CRMs, right? So, that be it, Loom for video outreach. We've got our own booking links like Calendly in there that then update and enrich your CRM as you're going, right? So a lot of these tools that I've used in the past are great, but then, you're spending heaps on Zapier and Zapier's break in and you're trying to keep it up to date, and then you scale the agency and people are missing stuff. So we just built our own. And then the main premise has always been that we're a video platform, right? So you can record live interviews, solo interviews, submit them to clients in white label portals. So your clients can register jobs and things like that have been around for a while. The difference is that we then take all the data that's happening during those calls, so be it like a live interview like this, and we use AI to transcribe it, get summaries, get notes, and update the CRM, either creating a candidate or a client record or enriching it and adding that to it so that your database is being enriched while you're doing those activities that you'd be doing on a day-to-day basis anyway.
Yeah, so it's completely just remove the admin element of it.
Yeah, it's like there's I do see a lot of people posting about like removing admin. I think there's always going to be admin in recruitment, but it removes a lot of your admin, right? And then probably the different way that we've approached it is everything's chat based as well. So say you're in job ad or a bullhorn, whatever it happens to be, click through to the candidate of someone who has left the business, which tends to happen in agency recruitment. You're taken back to that profile and you can just interact with that profile like you would ChatGPT, talk about salaries, get information, and then we can use that data as well from a training perspective for consultants. So it frees it up a little bit from just your standard templates, which we do have as well.
All this data that you're sort of gathering and populating in the CRM or within the sort of the native CRM that the recruiter's using, can you then also extract kind of trends and market analysis and things like that out of it as well?
Mate, great question.
I'm good at this.
Yeah, mate, you're very good at it, right? It's almost like you do this for a living. That's kind of where we're going next, right? And even things like, because we've got the LinkedIn integration, things like weekly posts around what the market's seeing. The hard thing with that, and same as like the hard thing with making your model focused on training, is each recruitment market and even recruiter looks at recruitment in such a different way.
Yeah.
It's not like sales where it's, okay, you're running a demo, the prospect should be talking 30% of the time, you should be speaking 70%. It varies so much. And even if it's one recruiter, they might be recruiting different roles that take different data points. So yes, we can look at it from a whole. We're still figuring out how to best present that back to a recruiter, if that makes sense, without kind of muddling it all up and making it more complex than it needs to be. Our core philosophy has always been to keep it as simple as possible. Like even one of our sell points now, just for the transcription bit, is that your recruiters don't even need to log into RecView, which spending 3 years building a product and then selling that they don't need to log into it is a bit of a weird a weird approach. But they can just add it from their calendar and then it updates the CRM. So we want to make it as seamless for recruiters. So throwing in all these trends currently, we're still figuring out how to present that to them.
Interesting. Yeah, because I always used to think, and this is kind of, I ran my agency pre AI world, and then AI was very, very early in its journey when the recruitment business came to an end. But I always used to think that, look, if I've got a team of 10 consultants that are constantly speaking to clients, constantly speaking to candidates, and are getting all this raw data in, it would be really cool to be able to say, right, do you know what? In the last 6 months, what's the what's the salary expectation of my specific niche, right? What's going on? I feel like, or I think the candidates that I'm speaking to are no longer really interested in contract roles. They're more interested in permanent roles. I'd like
Yeah.
that validated, right? I'd like the AI to be able to go, well, actually, we've looked at 150 conversation transcripts, and there's people here that used to want £500 a day on contract are now open to take in roles at £250 to £300 a day. There's
Yeah.
something going on here. There's a trend here. In the same way, actually, we've got career contractors because we can see their CVs and see what they do and what they're like. And these guys are now applying for and actively interviewing for permanent roles. That may be something to look at and consider, because all of this sort of data in that is really valuable to talent acquisition teams. You know,
Yeah.
one of the key things that I'm sort of doing at the moment and have been doing for the last sort of 6 months is I'm spending a lot more time within that TA community, right? Because
Interesting.
whether we like to admit it or not, right, talent acquisition finally has a seat at the table, right?
Yeah.
The agency owners that are out there and the senior leadership team that have this attitude of fuck TA, go straight to line, fuck them, go straight to line, that's not working for them, because these are the same businesses then who are then struggling later on down the line going, oh, we don't know why revenues are down, you know.
Yeah.
Or you can kind of shoehorn a candidate in, get an invoice paid, by hook or crook, but that client's never going to deal with you again. And over that 110 grand fee, you've missed out on potentially millions of revenue over the next 5 years. And now if you're a niche recruitment business and your client portfolio or potential client portfolio, you think your TAM, SAM, SOM,
Yeah.
if that market is only made up of 250 clients and you've shut the door on one of those clients and you're doing that on a weekly basis, your guys are consistently pissing off your target market, that 250 client base is all of a sudden 5, in the space of 6 months. And then, of course, you're going to struggle. So I'm spending a lot of time with these TA teams, and these guys are all very much saying the same thing, right? They like using agencies, but they don't want agencies who only knock the door when we're hiring. They want to
Yeah.
speak to agencies about trends, about, hey, this is what's going on in the market. We're speaking to all of these people, and this is what they're telling us. That might be useful for you guys to understand for your own internal processes and for the roles that you haven't yet gone to agency with.
Yeah.
However, when you do then go to agency, of course you're going to go to the agency that was like, hey, John, did you know that actually in your market, the going rate is increasing on like a weekly basis? People are commanding more money. And we think that's directly down to these 3 competitors of yours who are actively paying more. And I think are poaching people out of your business. Because again, my LinkedIn activity and my CRM and the data that I've gathered seems to imply that you guys are hemorrhaging staff to your 3 competitors. That's a great bit of information to give to a TA leader to go back to their HR team and say, we need to review salaries. Where did you get this information from? It was actually John's recruitment business. Right, who are
And
they?
that's,
Get them in.
yeah. And that's probably the big, well, firstly, it's such an interesting insight. It's the UK market and the Australian market are so different. And it's always so funny, especially in the rec to rec side where we're moving UK recruiters over. What we always educate them on is it's like Australia's still very much a handshake nation. Like you don't really crowbar candidates in for a quick fee. But I know in the UK it's, and that's just down to the sheer size of the amount of recruitment agencies in the UK. It's a bit more.
But you know what? That was a supply and demand thing. And guess what?
Exactly.
The demand's not there anymore, and all of a sudden your tactics aren't working, right?
Exactly. And the big reason that we first started doing video and then built RecView as a white labeled product. So even things like if your clients log in to reset their password, it comes from your recruitment agency's domain, right? So we wanted it to be nothing mentioned of RecView on that enterprise kind of plan or the white label plan, because we've got the full white labeled portals, right? So that recruitment agencies can productize their service. So our whole belief and where we started with this, and the AI note taking stuff and data has come after, but the core principle of what we allow recruitment agencies to do is productize their service. And even if they're a smaller agency, they can operate more as an RPO, right? So in your obviously you've got your CRM, which is your sense of truth, but then you've got RecView, and you might have, I'm trying to think of a UK company, right? But you might have Telstra, which is our big telco, and you're having all the different hiring managers in there. You've got your different jobs. They've all got video profiles. HR can view all of the profiles in there. So you're working with that organization more as a partner rather than just flicking across CVs. In saying that, we've had to build out features now that just allow people to send over quick video profiles, because one of the things that we've learned during this kind of process is people want to recruit their way, right? And we can't,
Mm-hmm.
as the tech provider, we can't turn around and go, well, you should use a client portal because it's a better relationship, even though I believe that. So we do still allow people to kind of submit in any way that they want. But it is a very interesting point there that you make around the shift of the market, because that's the bet that we're making, right? So by
Yeah.
having these portals and these productized offerings, you can show the profile, but then you can also, where we're going with that data is show all the different people that you've interviewed for that role, the trends that you can do there, export to PDF, that you can be more of a consultative agency, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially the other big bet that we're making is, everyone in agency recruitment's talking about AI tools and how it's streamlining their business. And they, for some reason, don't think that all their talent acquisition clients are doing the exact same thing, right? And it's like, okay, cool. You can automate this, but if you can automate this role really well in 6 months, that takes, because the other
Where does
thing
that
like
leave
we've
me,
seen,
right? Yeah.
exactly, right?
Mate, yeah, you mentioned productizing the recruitment service there a few times, and I've said this recently on podcasts because, again, after sort of sitting with sort of these TA leaders, I did a live podcast at the Recruitment Agency Expo, right, with TA leaders saying, right, tell these guys what you want, what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like, right? And it was really interesting because I kind of where we landed on was effectively that, where you go, okay, well, do you know what? Rather than trying to retain an entire piece of recruitment, which is the ultimate goal in a perm desk, right? Pay me before I've even done anything. Break down the recruitment process. Now, a tool like yours would be great to do that because you say, I'll tell you what. You're telling me you're incredibly busy. You're telling me you've got all these different jobs on at the minute and blah, blah, blah. I can see on LinkedIn how many applications you've had for just this one role, which is in my niche. I'll tell you what, rather than giving me that role, you've already put the advert out. You've got some candidates here. We're the specialists. Why don't we agree a fee, for me to do the first round of interviews and take these 150 applications down to a long list of 15. Here's the 15 best of these 150. How much time is that going to save you? What would you do with that time, right? That and you productize it down to kind of a cost that's, factors in the day rate of spending a day going through these applications, knowing that you can use AI to pull out the best 50 first,
exactly,
right? Auto reject the other ones, and again you say, listen, we'll reject them for you as well. We'll give them a reason why, not just an auto reject. Sorry, John, thanks for your application. There's better ones out there. Again, using AI, you can really personalize a rejection so that the candidate doesn't feel like I'm never applying for that business again. They never got back to me. As an agency, you've been paid for doing work that you currently do for free anyway on a contingent basis. You've got a long list of 15 that you're going to send to the client, but also another 35 candidates who you can put into your ATS and go, okay, well, there's 35 more candidates for us to work with who are actively applying for new roles and people that we didn't know about. Save my having to troll through the job boards and the job board spend, And I've firmed up this relationship. Now, using things like RecView, I can record those interviews and give them a transcript and everything of, here's my conversation with Nitin. Here's what I liked about him. Here's what I didn't like about him. Here's how he came across. It's a video format. You can watch it. Here's a transcript if you'd rather have that. And you can just put that all into your ATS and go from there. I've saved you time, Mr. Client. You're happy with that. I'm happy with that. I've been paid for some of my time, And if I've got a team of 10 people who are working currently contingently, but I can charge them out at £1,000 plus VAT for a day's work, I mean, that's going to turn the tide for my agency, right?
100% it shifts. And, if RecTools ever doesn't work out, mate, there's a very good sales job waiting for you with RecTools. You summarised it better than I've been. I'm going to watch that back and try and rope it. But, mate, exactly right. Like, it's about getting value from activities that you're already doing for free as a recruiter. And different markets use it differently, right? So for my Rec to Rec, and obviously it's biased because we want everyone to see the video platform, but as part of our USP, every candidate that we submit to comes with a video interview, because a salesperson going into recruitment, you're taking a punt on them. It's all about the personality, what they've done. Any jobs that I like to call like gray area jobs, like sales, where it's about the actual person that's sitting there. Whereas if you're taking a technical profile, it's going to be more about, exactly what they've done. But if you're speaking with that person anyway, you should be getting that data and updating your CRM. And you said a really good point in there around that, let's say that you speak to 35 people for that role. that aren't right and aren't going ahead, you're not only capturing that, speaking with those people, but you're also getting that data, and we're just creating the profile automatically in your CRM. So it's not even anything that a recruiter needs to do.
No.
That person might not be perfect right now. They get the auto reject email, whatever happens. In 6 months, because you're a niche recruitment agency, when you're recruiting for that role again, even if you don't have that candidate's CV, even if your recruiter's left no notes on there because now you're getting charged out, so they're super busy, and let's say that they're a SAP consultant, and you type in SAP into the job ad, Bullhorn, Loxo, whatever you're using, because you've saved that call, that candidate's still going to pop up, right? Yeah. So it's about, I think a lot of people kind of look at these tools, and I'm the same. I look at everything shiny that comes across my desk because I love it, right? How is it going to automate how am I going to make more money? How am I going to automate processes, work less, blah, 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 blah. But then it's about what your recruiters are doing already and how to optimize that to the best. And,
I think the truth is, mate, and again, speaking from experience, this is, we've been let down, right? There's a reason why you built your own system.
Yeah,
right.
Very true. Yeah,
we as an industry and as recruitment business owners are let down time and time again by the vendors who supply into the industry. Yeah. Because they sell us the dream of this amazing platform that can do this, and then when it's delivered, it's sort of like, well, this isn't exactly how you described it, or this isn't quite what I was expecting, or I'm still having to now do. And that's happened so often, so many times. And then again, when you then take a bit of a further step back and you're in the fortunate seat that I'm in, where you get to see a lot more going on, you kind of go, well, they were always just angling for a sale. They were always looking for a sale, and all this is bump on a load of users, go back to the VCs and say either A, give me more money, or B, we're ready to be sold.
100%.
EBIT's looking good. And yet, time and time again, we've been like beaten with that stick. So there is a level of like, from a recruitment business owner point of view, to be like, well, of course you are. Here's another tool that's going to change my recruitment business, and and I think that's going to be the constant challenge that we have in our sector. But on the other side, what AI has done is it's brought the entry into the RecTech space has become far more wide, right? There's a lot of people.
Yeah, people are interested in it as well, and it's you're so right around being, but like the whole reason that we price the way that we do and how we do our contracts. And I say this at least once a day. I think my girlfriend gets over listening to the same catchphrase over and over again. But I'm like, I'm a recruitment business owner. I bought every bit of tech, and like I've been sold every contract because you're like, all right, this looks good. It's going to save me time. We'll always be a perm recruitment agency as well for my rec to rec. So it's like how I rationalize things is like, oh, it's one perm deal, whatever, right? Which is the worst way to do it, but that's how I've always done it. So, for example, for RecView, when we came to it, we do a free trial, we do month to month, no lock-in contracts, so that people don't get burnt.
Yeah.
Which obviously, when we raise then our seed round, the investors hate that pricing model, but we found a good private equity firm who's happy to let us do it, and it does have its own challenges, right? Like you can't predict as much, but what it's meant is that we need to listen to our customers consistently, and we've pivoted from just being the client portals. Like I said to you previously, like we'd have agencies who have 100 recruiters and 20 of them want to get on video. From a business perspective, that's not great, right? Because there's 80 people not using us. As soon as we moved into the data play, then whole agencies are able to use us. So it is, you got to be careful with a lot of the tools that are out there, because like I'm testing them all. And the other thing is like they're basically all built on top of the same thing, which is a wrapper onto OpenAI, right? So that's, again, we were considerate of that. It's how we price our offering, so that it's not crazily ridiculous, right? Because video and the tools like this are nice to have. I think that every single agency will have them moving forward, or you just silly and you're wasting time. If you're doing a conversation, you should be recording it, but they shouldn't be hundreds of pounds. They should be a lot cheaper than your CRM, right? And then the big thing is that they should just integrate nicely with the tools that you already use. And then if you can find one that does that, it's not like you're competing anymore against word quality or different things like that. They're about as they can't get.
You're on to a winner, right? You want to. This is the thing. I think with the RecTech play, I think in the next sort of 3 years has to be allow people to continue doing things the way they've always done it,
Yeah.
and let the AI do all the hard work and let the automation platforms and programs do all the hard work to give them an outcome that they're either are used to but takes them time to get to, i.e. a load
Yeah.
of data work and stuff to get to a nice cleansed database, or are not expecting and they're going to go, oh, fuck, that was good. You know, I've just had this
100%.
call with this client and I spoke about 3 candidates that I couldn't even remember that I'd registered. Or actually, I had 3 candidates presented to me on screen that my resourcing team are working on or working with right
Yeah.
now, but based directly on the conversation that I'm having in real time, it's gone, these 3 people are great. You know,
Yeah.
we can send a profile that's a preview profile to the client right now to get them to agree terms, to engage us on this vacancy. You know, that's where we need to be heading. But when you're building tech with kind of history in mind, you know,
Yeah.
this is how recruiters have always worked, and that's how they want to work. I think we always end up in the same cycle of like somebody will either want to do it cheaper or, like I said, a longer contract,
Yeah.
or I can integrate with the one CRM that everyone else is using, but you're not, that kind of thing, you know?
That's it. Yeah. It is, it's a challenge. And I think, especially the last 12 months, we're all guilty of it. Everyone's gone for the AI play, and you need to
Yeah.
take a step back because, mate, the things that we built in the background, and it's just like email sequences, and we're like, we're not an email sequencing tool. We're this, right? So our one like big core philosophy is that all we want to do, and this was the same for my Rec to Rec, is we want to use automation tools, and now we want to use RecView to just free up recruiters' time so that they can speak to more people. That's it. Like, and if you want to, like, we use heaps of different tools. If you want a tool that's an email sequencer, go get an email sequencer. But for what we're doing, we're freeing up time by, calendar, basically our own calendar. We're freeing up time by capturing all the data from calls, and then we're even doing things like, if you're on with a client, rather than need to sift through and go, what was the name? We're pulling out all the names and company names and hiring managers' names, and they're giving them to you in a list after. We send a little LinkedIn profile before you call. So it's all those like little 1%ers, right? And because we integrate with the CRMs, like let's say, an hour before I jump on with you to pitch your next SDR, we go and fetch it from the database, then we enrich it with LinkedIn and give you a little profile. Right now, that's not that much research because I could just type that in ChatGPT and it'd give the exact, because we're using OpenAI, and give you the exact same information. All we're trying to do is make it slightly easier. Now the recruiter gets it in an email an hour before. They know that. They log in 10 minutes before, read it. They've got a good summary of what you do. So AI doesn't need to do absolutely everything, but you can use it. Like, we just look at it like a little AI, meeting assistant is probably going to be our new H1.
I use this analogy all the time, that AI shouldn't be the scientist, it's the lab assistant, right?
100%. Like, going to steal that.
To remain a scientist.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's where a lot of this fear mongering and a lot of this kind of rejection of AI is coming from. Because and look, I was at the expo, man. The number of businesses or the number of new recruitment AI tools that are out there,
crazy,
purely designed to get rid of the recruiter from the recruitment process. And I'm like, look, that's great if you think recruitment is a transactional service. That's also not the case, right?
And also, at those things, who are you selling to? It's so funny. I come across so many of these platforms that are like, they'll replace recruiters, and like our whole thing, I love recruitment. RecView helps a recruiter. I don't want recruitment to be replaced because our biggest business is a Rec to Rec, right? If it does.
I kind of need the people in place,
Exactly, right? So I think because now tech is so easy to make, especially like, you can vibe code things in Lovable and Bolt now, like AI builders don't release anything, but, I reckon in 6 to 12 months, it's going to be even easier to make products.
Yeah.
You still need to understand the customer. And at the end of the day, that's recruiters. So you need to be making their lives easier because their clients are going to start using all the exact same tools, right? It's just going to be, an interesting 12 months. And I think
that's a really important point, though, that is getting missed a lot, is exactly that. There just as many people that are selling rec tech products are also building HR tech products. I'm going to be at RecFest this year, right? And I'm at IHR this year in Manchester. And I can't wait to come back and report to my network about, you guys think that we're the ones that are miles ahead. This fallacy of like, agency recruiters are better than TA recruiters. Like, this has got to stop, because that whole concept. I mean, I started my my live panel with the TA leaders as like, so your ex agency, your ex agency, ex
Yeah,
agency.
yeah.
Like, so you're all failed recruiters then, and they
Yeah,
are
yeah.
like what?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah,
There
let's
would have been
address
one
that, right?
recruiter laughing at that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it did. It got like a ooh from the crowd. But
Yeah.
the point was that like this kind of fallacy that we have of like, yeah, that which is drilled into junior recruiters by senior leaders, right?
Yeah. So they don't
Our
leave.
TA are
Yeah.
failed recruiters. They're failed recruiters. It's like, listen, they just didn't like business development, or
Yeah.
more importantly, they didn't like business development the way you guys wanted to do it back then, which
Yeah.
was bashing the phones and sell by any means and all that sort of stuff. They found the thing that they were really good at, and do you know what's really in high demand right now? Is people who can make a candidate sticky to a process, because
Yeah.
counter offers are through the roof right now, and candidate drop offs and no shows to interviews are at their highest by the stats based on kind of what is being openly put out there, right? So actually, that skill set that those TA leaders had that you guys used to think were failed recruiters, that's the skill sets that your teams need right now. You know,
Yeah.
it's no
And
longer about a 1 in 4 fill rate is acceptable. No, you need to be filling every job.
yeah, and also it's like not good for that. That's also when people used to hire 4 recruiters and hope one stuck, right? Like,
That's
and
right.
in the UK, the average entry salary was like 18K, and now it's like
Yeah.
26. Right? Times are
Yeah.
very very different, and I think you touched on this point earlier, actually, in that as much people that are building recruitment tech are building HR tech, but the reason why so many recruitment agencies have distrust in their tech providers is what tends to happen, not all the time, is that a good bit of tech comes along, they get some good VC funding.
Hmm.
VC funding always go to talent acquisition because there's more money in it, right? Because you're not selling to
They got
an
budget.
agent. Because people like, we obviously know that recruitment's a massive industry, but a lot of people not in recruitment
Yeah.
think that you're best off going to, trying to sell to Facebook and Microsoft than you are Robert Walters, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're selling per seat to a recruiter, you're probably better off selling to like a Robert Walters or a Hayes, right? So,
You're
but
right.
it's just their understanding. So that's where I feel that a lot of products, CRMs as well, they try and do both, and they are slightly different jobs, right? So you need
Hmm.
slightly
Hmm.
different tools, the best tool for the job. So I feel that that comes with that point that you made, coupled with people are going to be building, or already are. Like, I keep abreast of what's going on in the HR tech space, and anything that's sourcing related or sourcing automated or
Yeah.
AI related to sourcing is not being sold to recruitment agencies. It's being sold to HR. So we're actually a step behind in that
That part.
department,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
like people aren't dumb when they're selling a tech product. If you're building a tech product, you want it to do well. It's not just for fun. They're going,
Well, yeah,
who's
most
yeah,
agencies are too busy trying to buy tech that's going to help them reach more clients right now.
yeah,
Right?
exactly,
They're all so focused on outreach and business development and marketing, personal branding. It's
yeah,
all about the sort of the shop front. That's what they're
yeah,
investing in at the minute. And there's some really great. I mean, there's some really great RecTools recommended products out there that are
yeah,
great for your back office support and your candidate management and because I just feel like candidate stickiness and
yeah,
your business reputation are two things that we're just not focusing on enough as an agency, as the agency side of things, right? If you think you give a candidate a bad service, they'll go somewhere else. They're not going to register with you again, or they're not
yeah,
going to apply for the job that you guys are, that you advertise again. And just because you couldn't place that candidate today in that one role doesn't mean that candidate's not a placeable candidate, right?
yeah,
And so this is becoming this sort of kind of cannibalistic environment. And now the answer seems to be, let's try and move into the US market, and because it's a bigger market. And you think,
yeah,
how about we get it right here first? Try getting it right in the UK first.
yeah. And I
Because
think,
I mean, I've got
yeah,
some guys that I work with and I spend a lot of time with that are absolutely killing it right now. And I mean,
mm,
there's a business that put on regular events, right? They will have 60 to 120 HR and talent acquisition professionals attend their events
wow,
every single quarter.
huge.
You don't need to do much business development when you've got those people coming to you and
Coming to
going,
your
I
events,
rate
yeah,
this agency, I like this agency.
yeah,
It doesn't take much to flip from this sales heavy model to this value proposition, right? You know, and again, using tools like RecView, where you go, actually, we can record conversations that we're having with candidates and send those to clients and say, hey, this is the conversation I had. We've all had it, right? Where you're like, I'm going to send you a CV. It's my wild card CV.
Yeah.
There's something about this person. You know, I can't explain it to you. The CV is not going to sell it, but this
Yeah.
person is great. Well, a product like RecView, you saves you all of that because you go, just do me a favor, watch a bit of this video, and you'll see what I see in this person, and you'll
Yeah.
want to interview them.
That's the whole reason we built it, right? Placing sales kids into their first recruitment role.
Yeah.
Every single one's a wild card. And just like giving a human element to a CV, which again, there's heaps of tools out there that do it. I love if people use RecView, but there are a lot out there. We've even seen people like using Teams and Zoom to record a bit and send in it. It's how you stand out because, you know, your inbox would be full, my inbox is full, HR's inbox are full. It's like, how can you make their lives a little bit easier, even if you're not going to the full extent of productizing a service? It's like, hey, here are the 5 candidates that I was going to send you. I've got videos on all of them. And then one thing that we've got a video editor coming out, and you can ask AI to just like find the highlights, snips it up, boom, 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 right? So that you're at least presenting something, because that way, at least when the HR or the hiring manager, if you do get on the direct line manager, has that conversation, it's not just, okay, tell me about this on your CV, tell me about that. It's about, oh, you mentioned this on your video interview. So you're streamlining the process, but you're also speeding up the hiring process because
you're allowing them to focus in on
not cold.
Things. Yeah,
exactly.
Like so is that going to be like an Opus Clip type thing where it takes a full length and goes, here you go, here's some key points, and we've just mashed it together in like a magic cut?
Exactly, right? So it's just like Opus Clip and I've used Opus Clip. I wish that they did this for B2B because we could have just had an API to do it rather than what we've done. I actually emailed them specifically about this. I'm like, how do I integrate with this? But, you know, because and this is the same for, you know, our Loom-like BD messages.
Yeah.
Because we transcribe everything with them, then we can just caption them automatically.
Yeah.
Right? So essentially anything that you can get more data on is always good. So all you can do then is go, you know, tell me, you know, what did the candidate say about this, and then you can just clip it based on the timestamps. It's essentially how it does. Send that to the client. So again, it's just these small little things that make recruiters' lives easier. Because speaking with a lot of, again, hiring managers or recruitment agencies who are hot clients, as soon as you give recruiters like a tool like Canva or a video editor, it's why we've spent so long on our video editor. You know, and a recruiter who doesn't want to do any work is sitting on and making an hour and a half playlist of the candidate that they're going to send out, then our product's probably a problem and a hindrance for that business. So we wanted to make it super easy. It's like, even for the captions, you know, it just puts it on there. You can then send it that. So it's not spending a lot of time, because again, we're not video editors. We're not that.
A lot of the guys that I'm speaking to at the minute, business owners wise, are, you know, just like TA have got a seat at the table now. Marketing is a key priority for a lot of these recruitment agencies.
Finally, which is my background's marketing, and that's kind of how I got into. I love the marketing side of recruitment. It's how we built starting recruitment. We ran like Facebook and then Instagram when that was ads at salespeople on what recruitment was.
Yeah.
And then we placed them into the businesses, right? Back when, you know, Instagram ads are dirt cheap.
Yeah.
They're more expensive to do now. But I think that marketing and sales go hand in hand. Like, they don't compete if you can do it right. And we've always been like a big firm believer in that. Like, if you look at any of our content, even our Starting Australia content, it's all like, you've got videos of me or the team jumping in front of the Harbour Bridge or the Opera House or Bondi Beach. And, you know, it gets put straight in my mates' group chat and everyone pays me out about it. But we get a wide audience and they know exactly what we do. And then you can have that conversation, right? So I think that anything that can help that. The problem is that for your smaller agencies, you know, less than 5, 10, even 10 people, they're not going to have a dedicated marketer, or they're going to have one marketer who's overworked trying to get everyone to post on LinkedIn, or they're going to have an agency that charges per bit of content.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we've tried to do in, hey, if you're having a conversation with a candidate anyway, or a hiring manager anyway, you can then quickly clip it up. And if it's with a hiring manager, and this is what we do with our clients, we then just put that into Job Adder and send it to any candidate that we want.
Yeah.
That candidate can then watch it. No one's watching a 45-minute conversation, but they'll watch a 3-minute highlight reel on the role. They can then watch that. It just makes it a little bit more interesting, but it doesn't take someone on Fiverr or a couple £100 or a few days. It's like, hey, you can just clip it up quickly yourself.
That's it.
Is it professional? No. Does it look okay? Yes. Good enough.
And that's the point, is it? Yeah, good enough.
Yeah.
You're not a marketing house. You're not a Saatchi and Saatchi. It does not matter, right?
Yeah.
Because I'd have that all the time where it's sort of like, oh, I don't want to record a video. I don't feel comfortable with it. It doesn't sound good, and I'm like, just do it, man. Like I
Yeah.
leave all my ums and ahs in the podcast, right?
Oh, mate, I don't like that because all I do is say like and at the moment. If someone makes an AI that gets rid of all of that, I'll be a happy man. But I completely agree to your point, and I feel if there's one to many content
Yeah,
which you post in, and maybe if you're running any ad budget behind it,
yeah,
get it professionally done because it looks a bit better. Get maybe someone to mix it.
yeah,
But
yeah,
if it's a video that you're sending to one person or 50 candidates in your database for a specific role, you're actually going to be head and shoulders above people if it's got your logo on it and if it's got captions and
yeah.
it's a bit edited up, right? That's better than probably 95% of most recruitment agencies that are just sending text.
Yes.
So it's that little thing, because what we used to have was, you just send the video, which is okay, it's still watermarked and whatnot, but by adding like captions, it just, especially for younger audiences, it's how they consume content,
That's right.
right? Rather than,
Yeah,
cool, everyone can send 1,000 emails a day that's hyper personalized to me, that knows where I went to uni, and now they ask, the chicken shop that I liked most near my uni, right? Because that's the new automation thing. Whereas if you can make it a bit more personal, show who you are, show your experience, why you're specifically reaching out to that person, it just adds a little bit of, human nature
yeah,
to the process,
yeah.
which is
Chill
what we
on.
get paid for.
No, I love that. I love that. Right, here's your chance to plug. Scratch the camera. Tell us,
Yep,
how do people get in touch with
correct.
you guys? What's the sales process? Do they have to have a demo? Can they have a trial? What we're doing?
Mate, we do both. So you can have a free 7-day trial where you don't need to talk to a salesperson whatsoever. We will contact you during that 7 days because, like any tool, jumping on training is the best way to get the most out of it. If you just plug in any tool, but specifically video, and go to your consultant, say, here's a video product, they are not going to use it, right? So that's just the nature of the beach. If you want them using it, jump on a training. 7-day trial, month to month, no locking contract. All our pricing's on our site. We try and position it as the anti-SaaS pricing, right? So no migration costs, no sneaky setups. If we're not doing a good job, you just cancel your contract.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. There you go, mate. When are you next in the UK?
Well, mate, funnily enough, I'm still waiting for, Greece is an amazing, amazing place to live. And I think I've said to you before, I did my UK working holiday visa back in the day. So part of us getting the funding and raising the seed round, we've got Jimmy selling in Australia. I'm selling into the UK. I couldn't get another UK visa. So I'm getting a Greek digital nomad visa, which is now about 12 months in the making. I'm legally allowed to be here, which is good, but I've got to wait for that because I was meant to be at the expo 2 weeks ago. I've got to wait for that visa to come through before I can leave and come back in. So who knows? Is the answer there.
Right, brilliant. Well, look, this has been really insightful, mate. Really appreciate this. We've got another 2 with you guys, so we'll see how this one lands, what questions come through, and then we'll reconvene and sort of put another one out. But this has been really good, man. Appreciate your time.
Mate, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Guys, that's it for another episode of RecTalk. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, doing all the cool things that you guys do to make us the biggest, officially the biggest podcast channel in the recruitment sector. We shall see you again next week. New episodes drop every Wednesday and every Friday. Make sure you like, share, and all that cool shit that you're supposed to do. I keep getting told to say this more. Ta-ra. Thank you.
That was awesome.